I'm going to be introducing my course on Heidegger, on Technocracy, Cybernetics, and being human through the digital catastrophe. And I'm going to introduce myself because I've gained a lot of new subscribers. So thank you very much for everyone who's been signing up these past years, not just these past weeks. So I'm going to introduce myself also because you never know who stumbles across this, and I don't want to assume that anyone, even those who have subscribed, know anything about me that's relevant. And also, if you know anyone who has an interest in Heidegger, who is interested in technology, the philosophy of technology, maybe is a technologist themselves, please share this video with them right now, or just post this on perhaps on Twitter or any other social media, so that we can all have a bit of a chat here today, because I'm going to talk about some questions that I had received about the course, and also I want to just make sure that everything is clear about what it is that I'm offering with the course. So I'm going to be introducing myself first and then the course. Just a second, sorry. Okay. So my name is Johannes Niederhauser. I have a PhD in philosophy, which I finished in 2018, and arrogantly I could say I'm with pass without corrections. It's unfortunate in the UK there are no distinctions given with the PhD, but at least I didn't have to make any corrections. So, and actually I have published a book on Heidegger. Also, my thesis was on Heidegger. I worked with Professor Miguel de Bestegui, who's now in Barcelona, on Heidegger. He's an excellent Heidegger scholar. This was at the University of Warwick, and my book is this here, Heidegger on Death and Being, an answer to the question of being. This course is not based on this book, but it is, of course, based on the 12 years, my 12 years of reading Heidegger and my 12 years of understanding him through being, I'm a native German speaker, as you probably can hear. So I always come at the German philosophers and also the Greeks through language, very much also, of course, aligned with the Aristotelian method and approach to philosophy, which is also figures prominently in Heidegger, which is to understand, to see what does something really mean? How do we understand it in different ways? And so what we'll be doing is, of course, also while the course is in English, we will discuss some of the German notions because they need to be translated better. And I'll say this straight away now. You can enroll for the course now. I want to go over briefly what the course is about, what we're going to read, and what everything is like. And I actually received good questions from a few people. So I want to respond to them here also. And if you have any questions, either on this course in particular, on Heidegger technology, so just put them in the chat and I will respond to them. I will respond to them at either probably the end of the live stream, because I want to go over everything. If something just fits in perfectly, then I'll respond just then, but if not, I'll just take some time until I respond. And also maybe to explain more of what I do have a PhD, but I never really got into the entire game of applying for academic positions or trying to have a so-called, which is a completely silly idea, the early career philosophy professor. Early career, here's your streamlined, guaranteed existence as a so-called philosopher. I'm not going to call myself a philosopher. Others can do this. I won't do that. I think that academia is in shambles. I think it's pretty much done. And there are many reasons for this, but I won't go into them here now. I will at some other point. And those who aren't, haven't completely lost their instincts, they already know that it's dead in the water. So I thought rather, get out before it's too late. And before you get in and get sucked into something that you don't really want to do anything. So what I do, I have absolutely no backing. I'm a self-employed scholar, if you like. I'm a free scholar, as I sometimes refer to myself, whatever I am at this point. But what I do is I run my own academy, and I started doing this exactly 2 years ago with a course on leisure with dignity, otium cum dignitate, where I met really great people. Many of them are still taking my courses now 2 years later. Some of them actually have started to teach their own courses. So I'm building a philosophy academy. We've now been teaching courses on German idealism, leisure, Nishitani, that's taught by Daniel Zaraba, so Japanese philosophy as well. Philip Niklas teaches Hegel, teaches a course on British idealism. And this course here on Heidegger is the only course on Heidegger I'm going to teach this entire year. And I think it's really a defining course for anyone who wants to understand Heidegger and or our technological age and where all of this might be going and how we can, if at all, remain free human beings. And so I'm trying to put out a new video here every week, which is free for you to listen to. And let me tell you that there's no money on YouTube at the subscriber count that I'm at. And I don't even know if I still have a Patreon really that I am advertising. I don't think so. So the way in which I can make a living and keep everything going and also provide free videos and lectures and dialogues to everyone whoever finds them is thanks to the courses. And when you sign up for the course with the seminars, then you'll come into the Zoom virtual classroom, and I will be sitting right here, sometimes doing a tweet, most often drinking wine, and which is stacked here behind me. I don't know if that's visible, a couple of bottles maybe. So anyway, so you'll come in and we'll discuss Heidegger together, but I will go over this in a second. I'm also going to share the screen, and I think there should be a link to enroll in the description of this video at the moment. And if you do enroll, then I want to give anyone who does enroll, if you need to save some money, you can just use a coupon code that's in there. Of course, if you don't need to save money because you've made it and everything else, then you're more than welcome. I mean, anyone can use the coupon. It doesn't matter to me. And so here's the link to enroll. The coupon code is a very, very creative one. It's just -100. So if you use it at the checkout, that takes $100 off the seminar tier. But now let me try and get into the course. And if you have questions on Heidegger or on this course specifically, please put them in the chat and I will respond at the end of this. Last time we had a really good discussion. I remember Isaiah, who's here today. Isaiah, thank you very much for signing up. I saw yesterday, I did respond to that email, and look forward to having you in the course. Isaiah asked really great questions last time. I remember that. So let me begin. What is the course all about? I mean, it's called Only a God Can Save Us Now, which of course is a quote from Heidegger's Spiegel interview, he's speaking to us from the grave. This is a dead man speaking to us. He gave the interview, I think, sometime in the 60s, and then it was published only after his death. So after his death, he says, only a God can save us. And at the time, people were going to say, he's a bit nuts. But I think, lightning has struck. I recently had a dialogue with James Poulos on his book, Human Forever. And on the first page, he quotes Heidegger. This is the second page, maybe, who knows, but very early on in the introduction he says it, and he says something that I've been thinking about also, which is, back then maybe this was ridiculous to say, but now it seems that we are getting closer to this this weirdness of technology, because we're no longer just dealing with machines or so, but we're dealing with something else entirely when we're talking about something like AI or blockchain, digital storage, the weirdness that comes with it through memory, the weird archaic, the return of archaic forms, etc. It's a strange time. So, and Heidegger actually also says explicitly that this is a time of chaos. Thank you, someone just signed up. By the way, so 20 people have already enrolled. So you'll be joining a really good group. I know some of them, and others I don't know yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. So if you do want to sign up, you can just follow that link in the description or in the chat here, and then use the coupon, and I'll see you in exactly 2 weeks. So that's when the seminars start. So I'm just going to go over what the course is about in terms of the lectures, so that you know. The first lecture is entitled "The Question Concerning Technology." This is also where we will read the question concerning technology, this important seminal essay by Heidegger, to get us into his thinking. What is Gestell in framing, positionality? What could be good translations? I think of it as the gathering or for concentration of positioning. And that, of course, has to do with stellen. So the vorstellen, to represent, and herstellen, to produce in German. So we will get into the meaning of Gestell, this full meaning, which is much broader than just in framing, in this first lecture and seminar. And I also would like to say the following. When you sign up for the course, depending on which tier, you will, and by the way, if you know anyone who's interested in Heidegger, just put this on your social media now. Maybe people want to join in. It would be great if you could share the video right now. So I think, I want to make clear what I do. I don't just sit here and comment, off the cuff, and record myself for these lectures. I write original lectures, 5,000 to 6,000 to 7,000 words long. So you actually get a little ebook when you sign up. Then I record them, and they are, as I said, original lectures where I interpret Heidegger. It's not just Heideggerian exegesis. We're going deep into the thought and the necessity of it. And in these seminars, then, you can discuss Heidegger, of course, and also my lectures with me. The second lecture will be on the loss of nearness, and we'll read for this one, The Thing. Not a very important essay where Heidegger addresses the fourfold, as opposed, which is in opposition, as it were, to Gestell, to the world of technology. The third lecture is entitled The Cybernetic World Picture. Here we will be reading excerpts from Heidegger's seminar with Eugen Fink on Heraclitus and Cybernetics. And we will be reading The Age of the World Picture. The Age of the World Picture is a very important essay also, because it's here that Heidegger basically talks about models and schemata, and the way in which we access the world now through an image or through an imagined schemata by which the world disappears behind that schema. The fourth lecture is Technocracy and the Reign of and Framing. This is one where there is no set text that we will read, so there will be no new reading. There will be excerpts from the Black Notebooks. But this is here I bring together ideas of technocracy and the reign of and framing through several perspectives that I don't think I usually talked about very often, because they are very subtle. So I don't even go too much into control through observation or surveillance or anything like this. But there are other ways in which we ourselves become part, through our way of thinking and being in the world, of the machine. So, and then the fifth lecture is Poetic Existence and Communities of Mortals. This, again, the reading will be building, dwelling, thinking, again on the fourfold, and also how then we can build communities or build up our way of being anew in this age, so that we don't want to tear down technology, but so that we actually be free our relationship with it without being subdued by it. And death factors very importantly here, as death does in all of Heidegger's thought. And as I said before, if you have questions on the course, please let me know, or on Heidegger in general. I want to show you, though, what actually everything looks like. So let me see just briefly how I can share my screen on here. So yeah, I hope that this is working. If you are here, sorry, if you click on the link to enroll, then it takes you to this website. In this, I'm going to describe now what different tiers there are, which I haven't done before. So you can scroll down and information about all the texts that we will read, etc., etc. So, and the seminar start in February. So there are, if you don't have time for the seminars, then you can choose here. Lectures for self-study. You get more than 6 hours of original lectures, and you can use this anytime. There's no time frame. You have lifetime access. And if which I will do, I will add to this course here a new lecture, you still have access to it, and you don't have to pay anything, or it is a one-time payment for all future additions and edits to the course. So this is this one. Then this is the what I call the community tier or seminar tier. That's the one where you can take $100 off, and to pay you are. I'm in the UK, so this shows you the UK VAT price. If you enroll here and click on click on here, add coupon, then it should take off $100. Yes, so that's the coupon that you can use, as you've just seen. Going back, there's a highest tier where there's only 2 spots available. Actually, at this point, there's only one available, where you private sessions with me. So I should be back now, I hope. Hello, Victor from Norway. I hope you can sign up if you haven't yet. I don't think I've seen your name, so please do sign up if you want to. And if you have any questions, just let me know. So let me go over briefly again what the different tiers are that you can sign up for. Everyone, no matter which tier, will get access to all study materials. That's, original lectures that are written. You get access to the lecture notes, which you can download and print out. You get access to an audio file, so you can listen to the lecture, or you can watch the lecture. And as I said, I don't just sit here and speak off the cuff as I do now. These are proper lectures. A lot of work goes into them, a lot of work and effort to write original lectures that go beyond also just the scope of Heidegger explanation or Heidegger scholarship or so. I'm trying to bring something truly original to the discussion. And so if you don't have time for the seminars, then you just sign up for the first tier, and you get access to all lecture materials and anything I add to them in the next years for life. So you will forever be able to just listen and watch and read again and again and again. The second tier is including the seminars. Seminars will begin on February 13th, always from 6 to 8 p.m. UK time, which I think is 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. 6 seminars. I lead the seminars. And here's one of the questions I received today, email from someone who's interested in the course. So this person asked me, do the live group seminars function like a section in university? Will they be led by you or a TA? And do you know about how many students will be in the call? So we already have 20 people enrolled. By the time we finish enrollment, there will probably be around 30 or maybe a bit more. That's the usual number. So I think that's probably what it's going to be again this time. There is no TA. It's just me. So I'm going to be sitting here and you will be in Zoom. So we'll all have our cameras on and our microphones on and we'll talk to each other. You can ask me questions and you can have a discussion with your peers. And I don't really know what a section is. I think maybe this is American academic language that I'm not familiar with. But what this looks like, the seminars, is you come in to, at the set time. Everyone meets at the same time. It's and I'm here. I'm leading the seminar. Introduce the topic for the day. So let's say it's the first seminar. So we'll be discussing Heidegger's notion of Gestell and Bestand, of say enframing and standing reserve or standing resource. And so I'll introduce the topic for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. You have already listened to my lecture. You have read Heidegger's essay. And then you come and then I introduce it again. And then I send you off into breakout sessions. So let's say there's 30 people. I'll have 10 breakout sessions of 3 students each, where you can discuss 2 study questions with them for 20 minutes each of this session. So it's 40 minutes of you just talking to your peers and getting to know everybody else. And what this actually then leads to is others become very active and engage more. So we can all be, as Sean Reiki says, we can all be performatively self-contradictory and bitch and complain about technology, but still watch Netflix and have an iPhone, etc., etc. But no, perhaps we can also be participating, not in the not participating as spectators, but participating in a living, say, critique or analysis and diagnosis of what is today. So what I'm seeing is, for example, I won't mention his name, but actually I can mention his pseudonym is Raymond K. Hassel. He signed up to my Plato Symposium, where he met Joshua Hansen, one of my favorites. Joshua has been doing every single course, I think, since 2020 also, every single one of my courses. And Joshua is running a thing called Metacritic, metacritic.com or .co or something. He's very critical of the academic institution. You should check him out, Joshua Hansen. Lovely guy. We all like him. Good energy, very good energy. So Joshua and Raymond, they met there and they've now recorded a dialogue. And so here's someone in New York and the other guy is somewhere in the UK, and they get to meet. And I'm very encouraging, if you write something during this time, during the seminars, send it to me. I will read it. I will give you comments. I won't use the word feedback because that's cybernetic language. And at the end, the last seminar, the final seminars, there will be 6 seminars in total. The 6th seminar is there for you. So you will be able to give a talk or read a poem. Or we had Taylor play the drums once last year in February. So you can give your talk at the end of the course, at the end of the seminars, as it were. So it'll be a very intense time with all of us together here in the in the Zoom sphere or so, whatever this is supposed to be. But they are not anything like school, because there's no look. You don't get any credential. You don't come because you get any piece of paper or PDF or some nonsense where it says you took this class for this X, Y, and Z reason. So there's no instrumental rationality. We're doing this, to quote Schelling, we learn only in order to create. And also for you to be, because I know that many of you are, I would assume that many are isolated in their ponderings and wonderings about the world. And that takes you out of that a bit. And that's the good thing about this. By the way, I wanted to say, I forgot to say this in the beginning. I just got a very nice gift from a gentleman named Kenneth. So if Kenneth is in the audience or listens to this perhaps afterwards, thank you very much indeed. It's very generous of you. So thank you for that. And I yeah. So I hope. I mean, I hope I've basically roughly explained what the seminars are like and what it can lead to, and also, you're more than encouraged to start your own reading group during or after this, and it's really about how much you make of it, of course. But don't think of them as some sterile, boring university seminar. And then this is all about something can emerge spontaneously. Things arise. People get very energized during these sessions, and I would say set free in a way that, so that, in some sense, what we're doing is through, again, John and I are talking about this participatory knowing. You're participating in the digital in a way that's no longer begins with thinking, not just trying to understand conceptually what's going on, etc. Do you have, and by the way, so the seminars are 2 hours long, but we usually go over. So 2.5 hours, sometimes the longest one was 3.5. And so another question was, do you have a reading list? Yes, so there's a reading list. You also get the readings sent to you in time. So don't worry about this when you sign up. Are there prerequisites for the course? That's another question from the email. No. In fact, if you haven't read any Heidegger, that's fine. So we've had people who've been reading Heidegger for 30 years, coming together with others, or Hegel, or etc., with others who've read nothing. Nothing of the philosopher who's being discussed. But I think that what this does is, there's, as again, this isn't school where we're not building upon, that course module where you already know everything. Everybody comes in not knowing anything, and I'm the one who knows the very least in some sense, because I'm the one, qua teacher, who has to learn. I'm the one who's learning from you by teaching. So I wouldn't pretend to sit there and know everything or so. And I wouldn't worry if you haven't read any Heidegger, but for some reason it's always been appealing to you and trying to understand. But if you're not sure, I mean, do sit down and have a read over the question concerning technology. If it speaks to you, even just, not conceptually, or this piece of information is interesting. No, in a sense that there's in some sense that maybe a transformation or so happening, then that's really what we're after. So we don't want to explain to bits everything what Heidegger may have meant by this, by that or the other, but in a way we want to get to the core, the heart of the matter, the very ether from which it all emerges. So yes, Nicholas, hello, and greetings to Chile also. So there's a question regarding translation. So from Marta, and I know that Marta has already signed up. So I'm not. So the question concerning technology I think, has only been translated once, as far as I know. And so that translation is fine by Lovett, but we will go over some of the words that simply are not easily translated. So one example, and this is perhaps one that's going to be most helpful to anyone who's listening, is the German word Wesen, which can mean essence, but isn't reducible to essence and isn't limited to essence. So Wesen in Heidegger is very, to say that we're after the essence of technology actually misses the point to some degree. But then, of course, it also it is what he's after is to some degree what technology is. Yes. So in that sense, the whatness, but not a timeless whatness. So we have to be careful with that notion of essence, but also the how of technology. So how techniques unfolds in such a way that, and this is where we get to the point, so that it spans open, lets arise a world and in which beings appear only as Bestand, as standing reserve. So we're outside the metaphysical understanding of Wesen. Heidegger therefore also gives the example of Staatswesen and Hauswesen in German, of the realm of the state and the realm and the domain of the household, of the oikos, of the oikonomia. So there will be much discussion about translations, etc. I would simply go with the standard translations in English. They're fine, and they're fine given from where these people were coming from at the time of their translating Heidegger, because Heidegger was light years ahead of them in terms of his thinking. They were completely stuck in a metaphysical framework. When they read Wesen, they don't think, right? They just say, "Oh, it's essence." Of course, it's essence, but it isn't. It's and this is, and I mean, this is what I mean also about why it's crucial to read this now and again. So what we'll do is we'll read the official translations, but we will have some twists to the way in which it's been translated, and also to the way in which then thinking ignites through a different way of hearing hearing a different word. So I think there's a question on Wesen by Isaiah. Oh no, lesen, reading. So I don't, but maybe we'll discuss this at the seminar, Isaiah, because you've signed up. So I don't, maybe you could say a bit more what you're after here. It's a good question. So maybe just briefly on Heidegger and gathering and lesen, etc. Heidegger retranslates or rethinks, as it were, the logos as gathering, as reden, as lesen, as reading. By the way, if there are more questions on this course, what it's like, if there's anything that's unclear, maybe something I haven't explained well enough yet, let me know. Or if you have also more questions on Heidegger, let me know also, so I can respond to them. Obviously, just to say the obvious, in the seminars, it won't be a chat seminar. We'll all be there talking to each other through our laptop or computer cameras and microphones, etc. So let me perhaps show you then. Actually, I haven't done this yet, have I? Let me show you what the course looks like on the inside. So I'm going to go there now. That's the one? Okay. So if you sign up, which you can do by following the link in the description of this video, you will get, this is where you are. Once you're inside, this is what it looks like. So let's look at lecture 1. Okay, here I am. You can see it's about an hour long, a bit longer than an hour. That's the video lecture. Then you have here goes the first lecture, the set text for the... So that's the audio. You can also listen to it if you don't want to watch the video. And of course, this also works on your mobile devices. And here's the lecture. So you can see what this looks like. This is downloadable, so you can download that PDF. This is, by the way, so this is one of the things here, right here in the first lecture. This is a long quote from a documentary that Heidegger made with Richard Visser on his thinking, which I don't think has been translated into English. And this is a very, very crucial quote, which I've not seen very often out there. I am not against technology. And he also says that I've never spoken against technology or against the so-called demonic nature of technology. That is more Ernst Jünger. So this is lecture 1. Lecture 2, which has 2 titles because I couldn't decide. Again, you have the video lecture, and then the audio, and then the downloadable PDF. So that's 11 pages here of an original lecture on Heidegger and technology. So let me stop. So, and this goes for, so there's 5 in total. There's a introduction video as well, which is, I've included the lecture notes here as well, which is where we get into the question of why Heidegger speaks of the God. And this, of course, will be one of the main questions. Why does Heidegger say that only a God can save us now? And who or what is that God? Some will claim, of course, that it's Prometheus from the truth, and it's very simply refuted, namely by saying that, sorry if there's connection problems. So it's very easy to refute, because Heidegger does not want to argue for a God that is in any way a creator God, like Prometheus. So that simply cannot be the case, that Prometheus is so there's no demiurge in Heidegger. Moreover, and that's even more important, mortals are to remain mortals and not have some grand apotheosis and become godlike or so, as Prometheus promises. That's not. Death is so at the heart of Heidegger's writings, especially on technology, that it's striking to me how anyone can make these absurdly false claims, very often, of course, to push their own ideology. And by the way, the future will not become what your ideology wants it to be. Because what an ideology is the opposite of a genuine experience. It just looks at all the different isms that it then refutes purely on the a priori argumentative level to push through its own will to power, because it deems itself justified to determine what the future is supposed to be, because it already knows how terrible it will be without its so-called solution, right? That's what an ideology is. But there's no experience that goes into any of the concepts used. It's just another ism. It's bereft, it's devoid of experience. And anyone who listens and reads Heidegger will say, the experience I have made in my thinking. He makes genuine experiences in his thinking, just like any thinker does. It hits you. There's all of a sudden, there's something. You don't want to push it through. No. You want to, because there is another sphere and dimension. That I agree with that, where it's not just about the empirical, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. There can be experiences that are, in that sense, separate from the normal everyday life. Yes. And of course also from the scientific, but there must be genuine experiences and not just something that's being pushed through for the sake of pushing through my own ideology. So we will not, because there's a question now on psychoanalytics, so we will not psychoanalyze anything. That leads astray from what we're talking about, because Heidegger is not about, there's no desire for objects or so, right? He talks a bit about the vibration of money, etc., but there's something much more radical that's happening rather than desire or so. And that's so. And also I would very be very careful with saying, oh, is this the same, or is it similar to what Max Weber is saying or Freud is saying? that's the death. Sorry, that's not thinking, right? We can always find similarities and differences. I mean, people have made entire academic careers from Hegel is in some sense similar to Deleuze, but also in some other important sense very very different. Yeah, thank you very much. No, so we have to understand anyone who we want to understand from within what they're saying and what is addressing them. Because everything else is just a comparative literature, comparative historicizing, which, by the way, is one of the ways in which I would say technology works, and or technocracy works, because it always cuts from the origin and from thinking, because all it does is generate a simulation of references, where everything must be equalized and can be compared and can be found to have similarities and differences. We're trying to do something as Untitled. We're trying to get back to the origin. So please let me know if there are more questions on this. I will go over again how you can enroll now. Or if you have more questions on Heidegger, etc., just let me know. So this is the link to enroll. And the coupon for, sorry, let me get my keyboard. The coupon for seminars is -100. And I want to make sure that I get all the questions. If you have any more concrete questions on maybe what happens in the I've talked about this, but maybe what else you could be reading or so, inspiration for this, just let me know. I think that as I said before, whenever we read it, even if we have read the texts already, we must not assume that we already know. And one of the absolute worst approaches to anyone in philosophy is to play, whether it's Plato, Aristotle, or Spinoza, and just read it and say, this reminds me of this I can. No, just read. You don't know, read, and then wait and see what discloses itself, without assuming that you can already, just ward this all off, what could be emerging, and just say, no, this. Let's circle it back to what is already known. This is, by the way, I'm going into this issue in the lecture on cybernetics and the age of the world picture. This is exactly how technocratic knowledge production works. Anything that's unknown is compared to the known, which is only a representation. So the unknown can be made known through an already sterile schematic representation. So yes, very important. Patnafs. Gelassenheit. So one of the texts that we will also consider is, of course, Gelassenheit, which in English is releasement. It's a decent translation, but Gelassenheit is, it could be relaxedness or so, but that's also a bit strange. So Gelassenheit, Heidegger gave a talk in his hometown, and which was in honor of Konradin Kreutzer, who was also from Meßkirch. Kreutzer from the Kreutzer Sonata, you will all know. And there Heidegger says that this is a Gedenkfeier, a memorial address is the English, but we don't denken, we don't think anymore. We are running from thinking. And then he develops there, and also in the Countryside Path Conversations, which are texts you can read in addition to the course. Heidegger develops the notion of Gelassenheit in these two texts mostly. And they have to do with you can almost say an abdication of the will, especially of the will to power and the will to will. So then Heidegger says, and this is what Heidegger says, you could almost say a practical response to technology, which is to say we have to say yes and no to the technological tools we let into our houses. Yes and no at the same time. That in itself is already something that is beyond a simplistic dialectic, anti-pro, as we've seen bubbling up again. Are you anti this? Jesus, how can you be anti this? That's one way of steering the masses, isn't it? So yes and no at once. And to be released or let into, gelassen, to be let into the world, releasing oneself into the world as it is, but also to be able to see, and this is where the fourfold comes in, to see the simultaneity of the possibility of the fourfold, of divinities and earth and mortals and sky, which is not parallel to Gestell or enframing, and not in opposition to it really, but and also not coming as a utopia afterwards, but is a distinct possibility now. If we again let ourselves in and think what is, and also to be able to see, and this is how Heidegger's essay, the question, or this was actually a talk that he gave to engineers at the Technical University of Munich, the question concerning technology, which ends on Heidegger's remembrance of the one of the original meanings of the Greek word techne, which also means craft and art. And there is in techne a relationship with poiesis. They're not the same. Poiesis is a different form of bringing forth than techne, but it is a bringing forth. And it is a bringing forth that is not forceful. So Gelassenheit, releasement, which this very good question just was based on, also has to do with poiesis, and in the sense of letting beings be. To let beings be means to preserve them in their truth and being, so that and this is not inactive, right? This is not a passive stance or so. This is in between. This is the middle voice in Greek. To let something appear is in itself, the letting is what the human thinking being has to appreciate, has to do, has to form, you could say, has to be able to articulate, etc. So, very good question. And so Heidegger reminds us of the poetic dimension of techne. Yeah. And of course, one can say that techniques plays with desire, etc., etc. But I wonder if this reduction to desire as this, catch-all to explanation for everything, almost like I don't think that it doesn't capture what's going on, because it isn't just about desire or anything that can be psychologized. Because there's something else at work than just our desire. Machines are not an extension of our desire. Being itself is at work through the weirdness of technology, and we are at its mercy. We are its, Heidegger says, we are its playthings, its toys. So let me know if there are more questions on the course, or on Heidegger just in general. I'm very happy to stay here a bit longer and have a discussion with you, even if you're whether you have signed up or whether you are about to sign up or are not signing up, doesn't matter to me. Just let me know if you have any questions, so that maybe I can be of help. And if, however, you do want to enroll, then you can do so by following the link in the description of this video. You use the coupon that takes $100 off the seminar tier, and I say this again, there are 3 different tiers. The first one is all course contents, videos, audio, and written lecture notes for you to study at your own pace. So you can either do this in 1 weekend or in 1 year. And you will have what they call lifetime access. So you can do this anytime, and anytime I change or add something to the course, you get access to this too. You just have to sign up this once. That's all if you sign up for the seminar tier, which is what most people do. You can do this as well. You have all of this as well, sorry, but you will also get 6 live seminars with me. And in the final seminar, in the 6th seminar, you will be able to give your own talk either on Heidegger or inspired by Heidegger or this course or something that, just was generated for you there that you'd like to present. I usually upload these talks to YouTube, but that's not necessary. If you want to make an appearance, as it were, publicly in this, on my YouTube channel, and you can. If you don't want to, then it's fine. We'll just do it for ourselves. So you will all come together as a group for one last time in the 6th seminar after 6 weeks of reading Heidegger together. And you'll be able then to present your talk, and we'll have a discussion. There are several of these so-called pro seminars on my channel, so you can check them out there, what they're like. And you can see also the really great quality of the who are, and many of them you'll see the last pro seminar from Heidegger course from last year. You'll meet also again you'll meet if you sign up for this course. So, and by the way, I said this before, but maybe people have just joining in now. This is the only Heidegger course I'm going to teach this year. So if you want to study Heidegger with me this year, this is the one chance that you have. I'm going to teach a few other courses later on, but this is Heidegger for me for this year. Thank you very much also, Pet Nafs, if I can say that. Appreciate the question. It was a real question. So, and then the 3rd tier, the highest tier, is for anyone who wants to have private tutorials with me in addition also. So in addition to all the lecture materials and the group seminars, you can then meet with me 6 times to either read Heidegger together really closely, or I help you with something longer that you're writing, which is connected to Heidegger or so. Or you already have, a book project or some other artistic project where you think it might be helpful and useful to speak with me. So in the past, I've spoken with playwrights and painters and a professor emeritus of mathematics at the University of Berkeley. I don't know whether he's currently listening or not. That was very enjoyable. Also with him, always with Leo, and a few, really good people. This is, but really someone who's doing already some serious work and just needs a bit more guidance. Is why I call them doctorate studies, perhaps a bit arrogantly, but they are really. I'm then guiding you as a PhD supervisor would do. It's great to see just sign. So thank you very much for that. I'm not going to call out your name. That would be a bit cheesy and weird. But yeah, thank you very much for signing up. For anyone who's doing this, because as I said before in the beginning, also this is how I fund myself and my operations. I don't have an academic position and have absolutely no inclinations to have any at any point. I want to be as free as possible, and I want to be destroyed by the algorithm of the impact factor, for example, where they calculate how important your writings are. By the way, publishing a book is a big mistake. It's a big mistake. So you write a book, you make the effort of combining 40 years of Heidegger's writings into one book, one theme, try and give an answer to the question of being. but you shouldn't publish it as a book because that doesn't give you anything. If you want to get an academic position, no, what you have to do is then butcher it all up and publish papers, because papers, not the papers themselves, no, the publications that are bullet points on your CV, which you can take to your grave with you, they are the currency of modern academia. No one reads them. Absolutely no one reads them. I was once told by a professor of sorts at King's College London, where I was when I was a bit younger, as an MA student, I was once told, when you want to publish with a really good journal, then you have to do the following. You have to say, on the one hand, on the other hand, but also, which means you have said nothing, but you have quoted all the right people in, a sympathetic way, because we're all very nice to each other in academia, which also means that nothing is said. A mess of what maybe is wrong and just is really bad scholarship out there, just incredibly factually wrong scholarship that shouldn't be published, but is published by Cambridge. The Cambridge Companion to Being in Time is probably one of the worst publications on Heidegger. And I want to make a video on this very soon, because there's just factually things are just factually wrong, and then on top of just making factual mistakes, misquoting, misreferencing, they invent entire fantasy stories about Heidegger. As I say, you make all these wild associations, or you can just try to begin to think. And that, by the way, as this is very subtle. There's no grand door there at the end. Oh, this is how we can be free with technology. This is where it begins. The free relationship with technology is to begin to think again, and not just deal with schemata and comparisons, etc. So one of the things I'm going to going into one of the lectures is his historicism. Is historicization, and the so-called applied history, and this weird moment in which we are, where we have everything available to us, but make no experience with anything, and have maybe a acute conceptual disagreements with Aristotle, but don't let Aristotle speak to us, and don't let his thinking touch us and transform us. So let me know if there are more questions. We just stay on the course. Really hope that many of you will sign up and join the 20 others who have already signed up, and we'll start in mid-February, February 13th. That's the first seminar. And then we'll go for 6 weeks straight. Seminars are always 2 hours long. So 6 to 8 p.m. UK time on Sundays. And we usually go over. You'll get to discuss with everybody else a lot. You get to discuss with me. You get to ask me questions. We can have good fights, good spirited intellectual battles. That's all fine. I'm happy to be criticized and critiqued, etc. All of it. And also, what I think I can promise now after 2 years is that you will meet others, that you will make friends. You will be able to meet new peers, genuine peers, not peer review, which is just a lie, because there's no peer at the other end reviewing anything. It's just a killer at the other end who won't get rid of you. Talking about peer-reviewed publications, right? It's one of these perversions of academia. It's called peer-reviewed, and there's no peer. There is no peer, no one who takes any genuine passion, suffering with what you're trying to say and argue, but a full-on destruction of genuine relationships between human beings. That's basically what this boils down to. So I think that you can I can really say with confidence that if you show up to the seminars and you do the work and you engage with the material, then you will not only learn much, but if you allow it, you might be something might crack open, let's say. Also, you will meet new people, and it could lead to your own project. So I mentioned Joshua Hansen before. He has his own project now that he's working on, which is a critique of academia and its role in society. Um, there's Daniel Zaruba, who who came, to the first course 2 years ago, and then started reading groups with others through Halcyon, through my academy, which he published on his YouTube channel. And it is noticeable that there's something going on here. And he knows Japanese philosophy really well. And so he posted something on Japanese thought, and he had always referenced Japanese thought in the seminars. So I suggested to him, why don't you teach your own course? And so he taught his first course last summer, and he will teach a couple more this year. And he's actually now also in touch with John Vervaeke. He actually found me through John. He listened to a dialogue that I had with John, and he, well, we're now recording dialogues, three of us together. So, and I'm not going to mention some other names, but someone recently said to me that it was the courses last year that helped him keep going and get through the year. And also I think not just get through the year, but also to be to begin to see that you're not completely isolated if you don't. Because wherever you are, you can find that other that can also go with you into the weirdest places. So I know I've had a bit weird connection. I hope that it's not so bad now, and I hope you can hear me. If there are questions on the content of the course, let me know. If you have questions on what the course itself will be like, maybe let me know. Also, I'm going to stay just a little bit longer. And if you want to enroll, then this is the link to enroll. And seminars start in about 2 weeks. So I hope that many will come. I really do. Because we already have a good group together. But the more the merrier. And as I said before, by signing up, you're also in the so-called creator economy, that it's usually some sort of a subscription or so, or you just you send someone a gift of money on Patreon or one of the other pages, and they make content. But what I like to do is that this actually allows me to build my own academy, and at the same time it allows me to continue to put out free video content. So by signing up, first of all, you get a really good course, and we can discuss Heidegger together as a group, and I'll be your teacher for this time. But also, you support the public work that I do with it as well. So you allow me to continue to put out free videos once per week, which are accessible to anyone who finds them and who finds them helpful. And in their own studies, perhaps, of Heidegger. Because what I'm trying to do is I have no blinders on when it comes to any kind of, oh, you can't say this, this is the current trend in academia, I have to say it like this. No, I read the text and I translate the text, and dare I say, sometimes I think that my German is better than that of some of the translators. And I try to say also that this cannot be translated. But we have to then give approximations, because not everything can be said in every language. For example, I mentioned the middle voice before. The middle voice is almost impossible to say in English because the English doesn't even have reflexive verbs. So, when you say he washes himself, then that's not really a reflexive verb. This is the himself is a dative objective, so it's already an objective sense. But the middle voice is, in ancient Greek, is where, for example, the phainastai, which is the root verb for phenomenon. Phainastai is that which shows itself in the other. So there's no showing itself, but there's a showing up through something else, as it were. So any closing questions, please let me know. If not, then I hope you will sign up as soon as you can for either the seminar, the self-study tier, or of course also the highest tier, I think, for which we have one left. Okay, I got another one just sign up. Thank you very much. So if there are no more questions, then thank you all for the good questions that we've had here. And in closing, I'd like to say again, I'm building my own academy. It's one of the ways of breaking free. And in the courses themselves are a course about themselves, So by becoming participants, I usually don't speak of students, I speak of participants. By becoming participants, we're already stepping outside of just being there trying to consume or so, or taking something in, but working on something together as a group. And at the same time, you're also helping me build this academy up, and you are supporting the public work that I do, which means trying to publish an original philosophy lecture once a week here on YouTube and Odyssey for anyone to watch who finds them. So thank you very much indeed. I see you inside. Good night.